This episode of Paranormal Skeptic Academy is brought to you by the Secular Outreach Network. Find out more at secularoutreachnetwork.com. This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy, using critical thinking and scientific evidence to analyze your favorite ghost hunting shows. You'll never view them the same again. You have been warned. For Katrina, it's her first time inside Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, the enormous, abandoned, and historically haunted facility in Weston, West Virginia. For Nick, it's a return to the place where he had one of his most profound paranormal experiences. Back in 2009, during a one-night investigation, Nick encountered what he would later describe as a shadow figure on the 4th floor. Returning now for 72 hours will give him a chance to encounter the spirit once again. But as they say, be careful what you wish for. What Nick and Katrina capture on their third night of confinement can only be described as groundbreaking, incredible, and completely terrifying. This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy. Due to the tremendous success of my live viewing of Paranormal Lockdown, I felt it deserved the full PSA treatment. So in this episode, we'll look at the series premiere of Paranormal Lockdown as they visit the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Fans of these paranormal reality shows are already familiar with the two hosts. We have Nick Groff from Ghost Adventurers fame and Katrina Weidman from Paranormal State. Nick has ditched Zach and Katrina has left Ryan to form this super team of paranormal investigators. In case you're not familiar with these two, here is a brief bio from the press release for this show. Nick Groff has been fascinated with the paranormal ever since surviving a near-death experience as a child. Now he chases ghosts full-time with the goal of finding new evidence of the afterlife and discovering a breakthrough in paranormal research. After graduating from the University of Nevada with a BA in film, Groff made his big break when he co-wrote, co-produced, co-directed, co-edited, and co-starred in Ghost Adventurers, the original documentary, which aired on the Sci-Fi Channel in 2007. The film was a winner of the Los Angeles Film Video Festival and was nominated for the Best Feature Film at the Eerie Horror Film Festival. The documentary served as a pilot for the Ghost Adventurers television series that debuted in 2008 on the Travel Channel. Groff was an executive producer, co-host, and investigator on seasons 1 through 10. Groff is also the author of the book Chasing Spirits, The Building of the Ghost Adventurers Crew. Katrina Weidman is a paranormal researcher and investigator, host, producer, and lecturer. She's best known for her role on A&E's hit series Paranormal State, in which she worked on hundreds of cases of unexplained supernatural phenomena and interviewed thousands of witnesses with the world-renowned Paranormal Research Society from 2006 to 2011. A graduate of Pennsylvania State University, Weidman has been working professionally as a paranormal researcher and investigator since 2006. But her passion for the supernatural began when she was a child living in the historic Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where many locations are said to be haunted. Weidman also hosts Chiller's Real Fear, The Truth Behind the Movies, following Weidman and her team as they travel the country looking for the real stories that inspired some of the world's most iconic horror films. Now that we're all caught up on the host, what is this show about and how is it different from other paranormal reality shows? If you listened to my previous live episode, then you probably already know. But once again, here is how the show is described from the press release. From the network that delivered the first ever live televised exorcism last fall comes an all-new series this March that stretches the limits of paranormal investigation. Destination America's 6-part series, Paranormal Lockdown, hosted by paranormal all-star Nick Groff and co-hosted by seasoned ghost hunter Katrina Weidman, follows the two as they confine themselves in America's most terrifying places for an unprecedented 72 hours straight, living at haunted locations, many of which have never been seen on television, some being investigated for the first time ever. Groff and Weidman believe that the longer they stay, the more spirits will communicate with them, and the more information they can gather about the unknown. Remember the live exorcism? No? Then go back and listen to the bonus episode I did, and you'll be brought up to speed, as well as the mini episodes I did on Ghost Adventurers and Paranormal State. Man, I've produced a lot of stuff. I believe like 24 hours of content. Pretty awesome. The site of this episode's investigation is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. Here is a brief history of the place from the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum historical website. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, constructed between 1858 and 1881, is the largest hand-cut stone masonry building in North America and is purportedly the second largest in the world, next to the Kremlin. It was designed by the world-renowned architect Richard Andrews following the Kirkbride plan, which called for long, rambling wings arranged in a stagger formation, assuring that each of the connecting structures received an abundance of therapeutic sunlight and fresh air. The original hospital, designed to house 250 souls, was opened to patients in 1864 and reached its peak in the 1950s with 2,400 patients in overcrowded and generally poor conditions. Changes in treatment of mental illness and the physical deterioration of the facility forced its closure in 1994, inflicting a devastating effect on the local economy from which it has yet to recover. This is your typical history of these mid-19th century asylums. As care improved for people suffering from mental illness, these types of asylums failed to provide adequate care and eventually closed. The treatment of the mentally ill during this time period was horrific, and this makes these places ripe for ghost hunters seeking out these damaged souls. Of course, there is no proof that the paranormal exists, or the treatment one receives in this life has any impact on the alleged afterlife, or what factors make a ghost. What determines if there are ghosts present? Is there a heaven or hell? Nothingness? Which religion is right about the afterlife? Do you have a choice to become a ghost? How do you stop being a ghost? Does it last for all of eternity? A lot of these questions cannot and will not be answered. But it just shows what ghost hunters have to prove for me to even entertain the idea of ghosts. All right, are you ready? Then let's do this. This is Paranormal Skeptic Academy, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
He had blackness, an evilness about him.
They're coming at me from all angles.
Are you okay?
Patients must have felt scared to be in the darkness.
I don't think we're alone right now.
My God.
I saw something go in front of that window. There is no doubt in my mind about that.
What am I doing?
What the is that?
Am I losing my mind?
No, something's happening up here.
Longtime veterans of the paranormal game team up to take on some of the most haunted places in the U.S., but what will they find? We're here to find out. As the credits roll, we are greeted with a history of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. We're told of the barbaric treatment of patients and how this place housed the mentally ill and criminally insane. They lay on the hyperbole pretty thick, trying to set the tone that this was a dark and evil place. But in most cases, doctors and nurses did their best for their patients, often working with the most up-to-date medical knowledge, not this horrific torture institute these people think it was. Only a lucky few have been able to investigate this site, and they've reported to hear disembodied voices and slamming doors and shadow figures. Nick himself investigated this place years back as a member of the Ghost Adventurers crew.
For Nick, it's a return to a place where he had one of his most profound paranormal experiences.
Especially in the 4th ward up there, I remember seeing the shadow figure down the hallway. And that's the real reason why we're here. We need to capture and document these shadow people. They're so scary. All right, well, let's start investigating. Here we go.
Always with the shadow figures. Katrina and Nick enter and we start our investigation. 72 hours locked inside this abandoned asylum. Nick is afraid that with spending so much time inside, mental exhaustion will open them up to the paranormal, but may make them too weak to ward off any evil spirits. So they get to the point of mental exhaustion, start seeing paranormal stuff, and call it evidence? Makes sense to me. Nick hopes to capture groundbreaking paranormal activity, and they start on the 4th floor, where Nick claims to have witnessed a shadow person so many years ago.
Down this hallway. And I saw just this shadow just move really quickly. So I caught it on my peripheral vision.
So what was it? Was it like a form of a person?
Like a figure, like an outline, just all dark. And it just
Completely
moved
blacked
quickly.
out, couldn't see through it.
Right. Yeah, so it was right around in this area.
And
I
you were
saw it.
standing here? Or
If I remember correctly,
back there?
yeah, I was back there and I saw it at the end of this hall. Feels weird being back.
Gives me chills just thinking about that.
You excited to be here for 3 days?
I feel anxious up here. I'm scared of this place.
Yeah, I know, you were saying you're having nightmares.
So he caught a vague shadow shape out of the corner of his eye, and that was enough to convince him that shadow figures are a real thing. But before we move on, Katrina had a bad dream about this place.
I did have one nightmare the night before we got here, and the only thing I remember from it was that I was in this dark hallway and I just started hyperventilating uncontrollably.
Okay, is that supposed to mean something? Never mind, no time for that. They pull out a map of the place and plot out their plan of attack for this massive complex. They determine that the woman's auxiliary building is a good place to start. They enlist the help of the owner of the asylum, Rebecca Gleason. As they are walking to the woman's building, Rebecca has her opinion on the alleged paranormal activity.
Part of the neatest stuff we have here are those guys going from room to room. Now this one that we're walking to is the women's auxiliary building, and it's the second oldest building on the property.
Wow, this is amazing. I stopped for a second, I hesitated because I actually thought I saw somebody standing in the door and I thought it was our cameraman, but I had to do like a double take.
Yeah.
I saw someone standing here, like no joke, just standing here like this. It was all solid. That's why I asked about, do you see solid figures or do you just see apparitions of figures?
Shadow figures are seen a lot. It always seems like it's out of the corner of your eye.
Before we leave, I want to do something with you because I'm still caught up on like this thing that I saw over there.
Well now, I didn't expect that. Nick is already seeing shadow figures as he's entering a building from broad daylight to darkness. And would you believe it? They are always just out of the corner of your eye. How do they know to disappear when you look directly at them? Stupid question. They're magic. Not wasting the opportunity to communicate with this shadow figure, Nick starts an EVP session. They don't hear anything, but they feel something. They feel an electricity and that they're being watched. Subjective personal experiences are not evidence of the paranormal. I should put that disclaimer on every episode. Nick plays back the EVP and hears something he didn't quite expect.
Let me stop this. Play it back really quick.
Was there a man or was there somebody standing inside that room over there? Did I just see you? Is there anybody here with us that wants to walk over there?
That was weird.
Was there somebody standing inside that room over there? Did I just see you? Is there anybody here with
Yes.
us? Hear that you're dead?
Whoa.
No.
That's
Did you
when
hear
you
that?
guys both
Wow.
felt that electricity
Yeah.
come through.
That was so clear.
That's so cool.
awesome. That was so awesome. Nice. But that's so creepy. Like we felt that
I know.
energy
They're
come up
right
on us,
there.
and you were having the sensation. You were feeling
that,
something and
yeah.
picking up emotionally on something. The spirit's connecting with us already. We have a lot ahead of us.
You want to go going?
Yeah, I want to start investigating more.
Nick, that was just background noise. You only thought you heard yes and then no. I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but That wasn't an intelligent response. However, it's enough to convince Nick that it was. They then bring in Beth, a former employee that witnessed 2 brutal murders on the 3rd floor. She recounts her experience.
This is where the murder took place, in this room. There were 2 murderers and 2 people that were murdered. And they hung them, and they did not die. So they brought them back down, and they took metal from the frame of the metal beds, pieces of metal, and plunged it through their heads to kill them.
Did you know these guys?
Yes, I knew all 4 of them. I did. The one man who was a murderer was a serial killer. He had murdered prior to coming in here.
What was he like?
He was frightening. He had, and you might laugh at me, but he had blackness of an evilness about him.
So what about the men who were murdered?
They were both children as far as their mind capacity was concerned. I have a friend who was in recreation, and she had been on the unit that morning with these patients. The 2 that had been murdered had sat at her feet and colored that morning, because that was all they could do.
Yeah. They were just helpless.
Yes, they were.
Whoa, that was brutal. Of course, Nick has to use this as evidence of the paranormal, as he will reference these people when trying to communicate with spirits. Hour 12 is upon us, and the sun is setting. Nick, Katrina, and a cameraman named Rob are the only 3 people inside the asylum.
We immediately returned to Ward F, in the room where 2 innocent patients were murdered 30 years ago. Our goal is to connect with these victims.
I'm really excited to use this geobox. George Brown invented it. He created this. He designed it specifically for us. We have the one and only. It actually taps in at 3 different frequencies. You have EMF, vibrational wave, and also radio frequency, that it's allowing spirits to come through and communicate. So hopefully some of the spirits can talk with us through this.
No, it doesn't, Nick. It's just a homemade radio. However, that doesn't stop him from using it to try and communicate with these murdered spirits.
I asked Katrina to lie in the same position as the men were in right before they were murdered, hoping to get an intelligent response from the geobox.
It said Nick. It was Nick?
Is that what that was?
It said Nick.
Oh, so it's a pareidolia machine. Okay, that makes more sense. They continue asking questions and get responses that they're using as evidence of the paranormal, but what us rational people would call static. After 2 hours and no more responses, they head up to the 4th floor and hear a hissing sound. Nick then opens up and says he's afraid to sleep on the 4th floor.
My instincts are telling me there's something powerful here on the 4th floor. So before I commit to where I'll sleep tonight, I'm going to do a digital voice recorder session to see if there's a chance I can make contact when I'm alone and in a vulnerable state.
What is that going to accomplish? You know you're going to hear something and it's going to freak you out even more. And right on cue, he hears something.
Katrina, come in here.
It's scary for me walking around by myself in the darkness. Is it scary for you? I need help.
Right there. Completely silent. I didn't move. I didn't say anything.
For me walking around by myself in the darkness. Is it scary for you? I need help.
Yep. Patients, people that were once living here must have felt scared to be in the darkness. Distraught, not understanding what's going on, confused.
Told you so. But it was just a digital artifact, an error in the recording, but it's enough to convince Nick that something is there, even going as far as saying he knows there is a presence there. Rob, the cameraman, heads out to get some sleep, but Nick and Katrina stay back to spend the night. Nick is on the dreaded 4th floor, and Katrina is in the 3rd floor murder room. We get them both talking about subjective experiences, as is usual. Nick is feeling energy and is afraid to go to sleep because they can attack at any moment. Who or what they are, he doesn't know, nor does he say how they'll attack or what they'll do to him when they do attack. So many unanswered questions. Nick is finally ready to fall asleep when this happens.
Sitting up in my bed and I'm looking around and I just feel this energy rush up behind me and this loud bang just resonate through the hallway. Whoa! I have to tell myself, don't run, don't move, stand your ground, lay down, it's all right.
Something is here with me, but tonight, I want to observe it, whatever it is. Too much activity from me and I might scare it away.
I'm not sure how he's even able to sleep knowing something is there because of that bang. He reminds himself to stay still as not to scare away whatever this thing is. With nothing eventful happening, we start day 2 and Nick is already doing an EVP session. He replays the audio, hears a garbled noise and says, quote, "I don't know what it says, but I know something is here," end quote. Oh, Nick, you so crazy. He heads downstairs to meet up with Katrina, and he tells her about his loud bang. Nick said he heard nurses' shoes. How he knows it was nurses' shoes, he doesn't say once again. We just have to take his word because, well, he's the expert. Nick takes Katrina to the hall he heard the steps in, and she said that when she was in the hall yesterday, it was hard for her to breathe. Therefore, evidence. Then they do another EVP and get some more static that they claim is a voice that says, "Shut up, bitch." How rude. Rob, the cameraman, is back on the scene and they review the Nick sleeping footage. And it's just the loud knock we already heard. Nick is worried that they are pushing close to boundaries not meant to be crossed, but they move forward with the investigation anyways. Hashtag so brave. They prep their gear and wait for nightfall and head to the woman's building with the spirit radio gimmick in hand. We're officially at hour 39. They tune into the correct frequency, ask their questions, and wait for responses from the box that will guarantee a response.
Hello?
Hello?
There's a woman that said, hello.
Do you want to talk to us?
Don't say a word. That's what it just said. A man just came through and goes, don't say a word.
Do you want to talk to us?
Don't say a word. That's what it just said.
That just gave me chills.
It did, me too. It's almost like he was telling her,
Don't say a word. That's
word.
what I got too.
So the spirits are talking to each other while talking to Nick and Katrina, and we know this because of the pareidolia box. Now who can doubt these guys are legit? But wait, there's more.
If you guys can say my name, Katrina, I'll leave. And I won't ask her to keep talking.
Katrina.
No, it did not.
I swear to God, that just said Katrina. He goes, Katrina. Oh my God. Want me to play it back?
Yeah.
I swear, that just said
Yeah,
Katrina.
let's check this out.
Right there. Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah. It's quick. He's like, Katrina.
Yeah.
Really? Seriously? Come on, man. You wanted to hear Katrina, and you did. Just because it came out of the pareidolia box doesn't make it real. However, it was enough to freak out Katrina. I just noticed something. Nick is the instigator in all of this. He's the one that always hears the words in the static. He's the one that announces his feelings, and he's the one that said the box said Katrina. That son of a bitch. They leave the woman's building and head to the medical building as we begin hour 43. They enter the morgue and are a little spooked out by a freaking coffin in the corner. Nick remembers from his earlier investigation laying on the morgue slab to feel what it was like when a soul passes on. Wait a minute. Aren't you already dead when you're in the morgue? Is your soul on a delayed time release? Because of their exhaustion, Nick is worried about possession, and Katrina doesn't feel well.
We're in this creepy old medical building, and I walk in, and immediately I'm having these chest pains. And I know my body well enough to know when something is me or when I'm being influenced by something that's here.
And what's the matter, Katrina?
It's crazy, like a stabbing pain in my head.
Do you think you were feeling maybe the imprint of a lobotomy?
I've been to locations before where physically I pick up on how somebody died or something traumatic.
See? Nick is instigating all of this. A sharp pain in the head in any other location is just a sharp pain. But in this asylum, it's the imprint of a lobotomy. Every little ache and pain that in normal conditions would be brushed aside is evidence of the paranormal in alleged haunted location. In alleged haunted locations, it's so obvious what they're doing. They split up and Nick leaves Katrina in the morgue and she lays down on one of the slabs, and then Nick says this.
3 a.m. is what's known as the devil's hour. It's documented that most deaths occur at this time, and it's believed that paranormal energy is at its peak.
What the f***? Dead time? Or as Nick calls it, devil hour? Did he say it's documented that most deaths occur at 3 a.m.? Really, Nick? Where is this documented? Please tell us where you found out this fact. I did a quick search and found a study that revealed that in old age, you are most likely to die at 11 a.m. Take that, Nick, you jackass. Katrina is alone in the morgue and she thinks she hears footsteps or a banging, but she's just making a lot of noise on her own and is freaking herself out. We cut to Nick in the basement as he tries to catch a few Z's. Nick thinks he hears someone walking, but not enough to keep him awake as we drift into day 3. Day 3 starts and we're joined by 2 additional paranormal jabronis, Adam Berry and Amy Bruni. Nick has brought them in as they have also experienced the elusive shadow figure at this location. We start hour 53 in the kitchen looking for apparitions, but instead they heard a noise and it leads to nothing. Next we head to the 4th floor and Nick tells them about the first night sleeping there. Adam, not wanting to miss an opportunity to lay in the same bed as Nick, lays down alone in the hall. They leave Adam alone with the camera pointed on him and head off to another wing where Amy says she saw this shadow figure. We cut back to Adam and he freaks out at a noise and rushes off to meet up with the rest of the crew. He said he felt like someone was behind him, but again, that's just his subjective experience and not evidence.
Is there anybody here? Oh,
Here he comes.
I told you.
you just feel like there's somebody behind you the entire time, like going like this.
Yeah.
Like going like this and like trying to like get up close to what you're doing, and you're so vulnerable.
Those were the same exact
Yeah.
things that I said. The hell was that?
I don't know. Nope.
It goes, hello, Adam.
No,
I swear to God.
No way.
That's what it says. I swear to God, that's what I'm hearing. I just got chills. Holy I just got chills so bad.
Hi.
Giggling like a bunch of schoolgirls, and who is front and center? Nick. Nick is the one that puts this in their head that the static says, hello, Adam. The other 4 don't believe it, but when Nick plays it back after priming them on what to listen for, lo and behold, they hear, hello, Adam. Unbelievable. Adam and Amy leave and we start hour 63. As they're walking down the hall, Katrina thinks she sees something and Nick gets a chill. What do we call that, folks? Evidence. Yay! Nick is still a little shaken by what he thought he saw. It could be that or the 63 hours of exhaustion setting in. If you don't think they're doing this on purpose, just listen to Nick.
Being in here for 3 days, pushing ourselves mentally and physically to our breaking point, it's exhausting, but that's when we seem to realize we're capturing evidence.
Really? You don't say. 63 hours of not sleeping or eating leads to more evidence of the paranormal? It couldn't possibly be the 63 hours of exhaustion. God damn you, you jackass. They continue to talk about what they thought they saw, but we have no video proof of it. At this point, I think they're just delusional and hallucinating from lack of sleep. They might as well be drunk. I wouldn't trust them behind the wheel of a car, let alone trust their perceptions at this point. As they're backing their way down the hall on the 4th floor, Rob the cameraman stops them and tells them to listen.
You know,
Good idea.
what? What? Hold on.
Where are you hearing it from, Rob?
What? Where are you looking at, Rob? What's the matter?
Where I just saw something dark.
Where? What?
Back there, it's...
Can't see you. What?
Thought I saw something move across that back wall. It was like a low
I can't see.
shape.
Show us. Show us what.
Horizontal. Come here.
Keep
My
going.
heart's racing right now. I don't even know what that was.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right.
So he saw something down the hall, a hall that has a window at the end of it, an open window. Uh-huh. They spend a few minutes trying to figure out what Rob saw, who describes it as a mist, something that will be common in these episodes. Come on, guys, will you play it back for us, please?
Watch back here. And that's when I heard something, because you can tell it's focused all over the place. I don't even know what I'm doing. Now watch. Right there.
What the is that?
It's like, that's what I said. It's like a snake.
Yeah.
I'm shaking right now just looking at it. Good. Here, so we'll watch it again. So here we are. And it's right here that I noticed that it's moving. It's sliding right across, right to left. And now it's gone. Whatever shape that was that I first
I don't know what the
saw.
hell you were talking. Yeah, when I was like, what was that?
There goes, oh my God.
Whoa.
It just like, it literally, it slithers. What's weird too is that it's like, it's there the whole time. It's just hanging out. And then it was like, Rob, I've never seen anything like that.
So there's something in the middle of the floor, right? Is that what I'm seeing?
That's what it looks like. There's some white blob. And then when he gets close on me, he's focusing on me. And then like right after that, it starts to move. It's just like a shadow hanging out behind us. And then it slithers away.
It's definitely not an animal, right?
No, because we would have heard it.
Yeah, exactly. It can't be an
We
animal.
would have heard it. We weren't that far away from it.
And even if it was an animal, what kind of animal is that huge
That slithers?
with no sound?
That, whatever that is something else. What we've experienced in this hall tonight is bizarre, and I don't have a natural explanation for any of that right now.
I've never seen something like that. It's freaking nuts. Am I losing my mind?
No.
Yes. Yes, you are. For those watching on YouTube, I had a hard time seeing what they thought they saw. Maybe you can see it better than I, but whatever it was, wasn't what they thought it was. If it was anything, it most likely was light reflecting from the window hitting condensation in the air, and the camera picked it up. But what do I know? For 3 days, they have been hunting for this shadow figure, and they've been hearing noises and EVPs, and finally, during the last night, they catch some vague mist type thing, and all signs point to the paranormal. Brilliant. Nick wants to take this thing on alone, so he does. Hashtag so brave. He goes from room to room, and after several hours, we get nothing. Not one damn thing. The clock ticks down, and we hit the 72-hour mark. The investigation has mercifully come to an end.
Here at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, not only did we converse with multiple voices,
Don't say a word.
we were physically attacked
Stabbing pain in my head.
and mentally broken.
Whoa.
72 hours ago, Katrina and I set out to find the shadow figure I had seen on my first visit here.
You guys stop.
What?
Was it the creeper, a physical form created from the emotional trauma of the asylum? Or did we capture the first glimpse of an entirely new entity?
What the is that?
It was too dark to see with our eyes alone, but new technology allowed the camera to harness multiple light dynamics to find its hidden, slithering outline. The result was both terrifying and exhilarating, and it makes me realize just how truly unpredictable and dangerous these missions into the unknown can be.
Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Paranormal investigators are bringing new equipment to catch those elusive spirits. With the advent of new technology, it brings the opportunity to confuse artifacts and the processes as evidence of the paranormal. Look at what flash photography and cheap digital cameras did for orbs. Those were all the rage at one point in time, but now they're laughed at. This is the problem with relying on technology to support your claims. Yes, technology can aid us in understanding our world, but if what you're trying to understand has no basis in reality, it's just noise, or this generation's orbs. Nick is trying so damn hard to find something worth calling evidence, but what he ends up doing is falling for logical fallacies and cognitive biases, and his head is too far up his own ass to realize it. This show didn't show us anything new, or break any new ground, or show us new groundbreaking evidence. Instead, it took what was done in one night and spread it out over 3, guaranteeing to get more hits the more tired they got. They pushed their bodies towards exhaustion, and in doing so fell for more cognitive biases. Whether they did it on purpose or not realizing it, the end result is still the same. Your personal, subjective experience is not evidence, no matter how many times you see a shadow out of the corner of your eye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Paranormal Skeptic Academy. If you like what I do, please leave me a review on iTunes and Stitcher. If you want to support the show financially and receive extra content on a monthly basis, you can sign up to be a member starting at $1 a month at patreon.com/PSA or at paranormalskepticacademy.com/registration. Like the Facebook page at facebook.com/Paranormal Skeptic Academy. Follow me on Twitter at cweb619. And subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/PSkepticAcademy for full video versions of each episode. Also, you can download each member-only bonus episode for $1 at paranormalskepticacademy.com under downloads. Thank you for listening to Paranormal Skeptic Academy, schooling your favorite paranormal investigators.